It's another edition of Checking In with Hein and Johnny, where the hosts bring in mystery topics that neither host knows anything about until the mics go hot and on the air. We are the show that keeps the host from talking about the weather and World War II 24 hours a day. Hey, Heine, man, what's on your mind?
What is on your mind?
Well, what's happening, Johnny? Good to see ya.
It's a beautiful day.
It is a wonderful day.
How you feeling?
I am feeling like $1,000,000.
As you should. You have moved location-wise from Albuquerque, I can see, to the beautiful misty mountains of Salt Lake City.
I am. I'm back in the home office, as they say, in the business, I do believe.
The home
office. After, about most of a month on a road between traveling through Europe and then business trips to El Paso and then back to Albuquerque. So
nice.
It's good to be back here.
You're a guru.
But, touching on going to jolly old England, which is just what I want to talk about.
Please do.
Most all the time. You may have noticed that during my trip, I did go to the fabulous, lots of people were flying to England to go see Taylor Swift at Wembley Stadium.
As they do normally, the Swifties.
Yes, they were out there in force. And I said, why don't these people
have a life? No,
detour,
I'm kidding.
While they're there, while you're in England, you can just detour quickly over to the British Motor Museum.
It seems right up their alley, wouldn't it be?
And you can see something like, as you may have seen in my photos, with me standing right there by
looking gorgeous
Cecil Kimber's old number one, which is, as you may remember from your studies, what the hell did you do?
What?
That's how the photos are going to appear on this thing? What in the world are you doing?
What did you do?
What in the hell are you doing?
Exclaims in disgust.
Talk about a slow ball game out there in Virginia.
Oh,
there is the
high quality tech. That's how the photos are going to show. No, we'll tech it up. We'll tech it up for later. At the end, we'll show a taste of the photos. But I wanted people to see your sweet, sweet legs. That's one element that won't show up later. Look at those honeys. Now, that is a pair of luscious legs. I appreciate that I'm not the only one with massive amounts of freckles.
I think that is, I think my wife calls that my Beavis look. A t-shirt. Yeah. I'm wearing a t-shirt, black shorts, and my drawn-on black shoes.
Beautiful combo. There's nothing wrong with that. Tell Chris that all of her taste is in her mouth, because you're really the fashion guru.
So, are you actually creating those photos on a 3D printer where it actually prints a frame onto the photo as well?
No, for those that have picked up any technical item in the last 20 years, this would be an iPad. And for those who really do own regular stuff, there's your beautiful spouse, Chris. It's just an iPad. That's all it is.
What is she standing next to, Johnny?
Oh, I didn't. I'm sorry. I didn't show well enough.
That would be Ken Richardson's speed testing car from the Jebeki runs, the car that put Triumph on the map.
Very cool. I like it.
I forget how fast he went, but pretty fast, especially on those terrifying little tires.
Well,
I did meet Ken Richardson, who was the director of the Triumph factory team at Le Mans and other rallies and events back in 1990. And that was an experience as well. And then
brush with greatness.
So there were so many cars at the British Motor Museum, a whole level devoted to Jaguar. And there was, Ian Appleyard's XK120, just one highlight.
Nice.
You've got to get out there and see that. Chris was overjoyed with going there. And then they have one level of, I think they're just trying to get an example of every British car that someone from the Midlands might have driven to work in the 1970s.
Nice. Well, that's
like
the way
Rover
museums...
100s and an Morris Marina.
Nice.
It was incredible. And then, as a little treat, after we went to the British Motor Museum, we zipped right on over. I said, Chris, I've got a bonus stop. And she said, this better be good. And I said, oh, it will be good.
Bonus? After the Automotive Museum, this better be good, Henry.
It better be good, or I may actually murder you. And so she was nonetheless overjoyed when we went into a small industrial park and visited the home of A.H. Spares. This is one of the world's greatest sources for Austin Healey parts. And we were right there. It was right off one of the freeways, the M something or another. They all have those weird numbers. And we hopped in and saw the folks there, and they were more than accommodating. And I believe there is a photo there of my wife at...
Would this be that gorgeous? It looks great.
It is, and that is Roger Moment, that is Roger Moment's Austin Healey. He's from Colorado, one of the master experts in Austin Healey's, and they had purchased his car just so that it could be maintained in the state that it was restored in. And while I was there, I picked up a new oil feed line to my oil gauge and an overdrive switch that goes on the side of the gearbox and will automatically flip you in and out of overdrive. But these fit conveniently into my luggage, along with a BMC competition department coffee mug. It's not this one. This one is from New York.
This is just a loser tourist mug.
This I bought at the tourist shop in New York. I said,
whereas
so
the other one,
it's nice.
The other one was an official aficionado's automotive parts trinket.
The British Motor Corporation competition department mug. I don't think I think it's a new invention. I don't think they actually had mugs back in the 60s. They called them teacups. They used teacups and drank only out of tea. Teacups out of tea.
I really, I can't believe how exciting your vacations are as compared to mine. My boring beaches and silly water and pools, and yours are so much more exciting.
It's a deep well.
We will be getting a taste of Scandinavia in the future episodes. We better, because if Britain is as exciting as it sounds today, then Scandinavia is going to be incredible. But that's a taste for the future. Come on. We don't want
the far distant future. You know, the trip through England is so lengthy with so many
auto parts industrial locations. there wasn't enough time for actual enjoyment. We had to go through 5 more industrial parks.
Well, the beauty of my trips is, a lot of people go to England. They want to see something. They want to see the Tower of London.
Big Ben.
They want to see Big Ben. And they go, well, the lines, the traffic, you're waiting. There are people, stinky people butting in front of you to
Real
get a
humans.
glimpse at the grave of Henry VIII.
Ridiculous.
At the sites that I go to,
No lines.
Conveniently.
What?
I could spend as much time gazing upon
No.
Appleyard's 120 as I wanted.
I love it. Henry and I do enjoy the same vacations, just different areas of the countries that we visit. Well, we do.
So what's up with you, Johnny?
I have not asked you about they're tearing down a high school that you and I both went to, and I was going to ask you if you went to the thing where you could go to it the last time and walk the halls. It was a massive Skyline High get together. Did you go to that with Chris and walk the halls one more time before they destroyed it in our auto mechanics classroom?
Interestingly enough, Johnny, I did go.
And what? And did it seem much smaller than when you were little?
No, I started having flashbacks, and I believe they call it in the industry PTSD, of walking down the hall, and I would see there was this big guy there, and I would have my books tucked under my arm, and I would be walking along, and he seemed friendly enough. He seemed friendly enough on the surface, and he would walk up and he'd go, "Heidi, man, how are you doing?" And he'd outreach his hand and grab me. And this guy never had any books with him.
Never?
Because he might have a pencil to like pose that he was going to school. And he'd go, "Heidi, man, how are you doing?" And I would switch hands with my books and get him over here. And I'd reach out and grab his hand. And then I would get a titty twister.
Yes.
Like his other
Purple
hand came in
nipple.
and,
Enjoy your purple nipple. That is an idiot. He is no friend of yours. He is no friend of yours. People that a twist of the bosoms are not needed or wanted in this society.
Well, and so, yes, we did go there.
And, and thoughts?
And it's still there. The part they haven't ripped down. They ripped down about, I would say, half of it. I would say most of what we remember. The auto shop building, first thing that went.
Yeah, the leaky parts.
And now that is under an immense gymnasium, as I believe they call it in Germany.
Gymnasium. Nice.
And we, in addition to going to that, we went to the Super Reunion.
Oh, nice.
Where I took, just a little pat on my back, I took the Healy down there and parked it with the sign that said that I rebuilt the engine in John Copier's auto shop class.
While I annoyed you.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we went, last week, we went over to go explore the new Skyline, which
nice.
is, it's 3 stories high of classrooms. It's like going to, Mark Zuckerberg's campus, as I'd imagine.
Awesome.
I've never been there, so I don't know what that's
you
like.
In
but
your
it's what I would
mind's
imagine
eye,
like.
You're thinking that's what it'd be like.
A different experience to go to school today than it was when we went. That's
Yeah,
really
we had
much drearier, not as cool, not as.
I think our high school experience was that the tiles were coffee stained, totally leaky. It was a leaky high school. It was like someone's old armpits. It was a juicy experience. So
Changing
yeah,
of just a sprinkling of asbestos.
a spritz here and a spritz there of delightful. No wonder I have a cough to this day. You have enlightened me about the possibilities of a lawsuit. I'll be able to get my due from this district. Well, I'll bet it was fun. I'll bet you enjoyed it, and it was fun getting back there. I remember very little learning being done by myself there. Just as you mentioned, I did one bit of homework with you for an auto mechanics class, and it ended up turning up to being just drawing on my walls in my house. That's how much studying I did for my high school experience. I cannot imagine that I was allowed to graduate, but I'm not complaining. Look at the grand things that it has brought me. So
look at where we are now.
My public
I often
schooling.
sit and think that, should I have been a little more serious in high school and maybe, gotten in on the Satorian magazine or joined the Cro-Magnon Society. But nah.
My sister did it. She's delightful. Boring, but she did all that. Yeah, she's super boring. Yeah, super boring.
John,
I
what's
should
going
do
on in your life?
I should do
new?
I should do a transition because
Do a transition.
ear candy, eye candy, that kind of thing. What we're listening to. Ooh, did you hear that? That was very dramatic. That's like we're a real podcast. What we're watching, eye candy, is Silo. It's a great show about a dystopian area in the world. And that's a fantastic show on Apple Plus. If you have not been watching it, man alive, it's really, really good. The kind of Tom Cruise's love interest is the big Rebecca Ferguson. She's the main person in there, and it's got another season coming up. So absolutely, you should watch that, as well as on Apple Plus, Invasion. If you like really freaky movies like, The Day After Tomorrow, or, what's the Amy Adams one where the ink splot monsters splash stuff on the screen and anyway, it's an invasion one, and it's very cool. Invasion.
Who's invading what? Is this
the world? All these movies are always dystopian movies.
Dystopia?
Yeah, like the end of the world. The spiders come in. Oh, if you do you kind of ever? Did you ever watch shows like A Quiet Place? It's the one. It's the one where the guy from The Office and his wife are in a show where they don't talk. There's no dialogue. Do you remember seeing anything like that? Spooky.
I think I saw Quest for Fire. I think that was like that.
It was like that. Well,
there wasn't a lot of talking, just a lot of weird stuff going on. Cavemen and eating bugs.
Yeah, it's almost the same movie. Almost word for word the same movie. Well, A Quiet Place, and then A Quiet Place 2, and then Quiet Place Day 1. And Day 1 is fairly new, and it's streaming right now, and son of a gun. It's very exciting. It's when those icky, naughty aliens come down. So if you do kind of like things edgy or thrilling or spooky, Quiet Place Day 1, really, really cool. And it's got a couple of jump scares in it. And fun. Ear candy are... go ahead.
I mean, I don't see a lot of stuff, but I do get out. And, with it kind of being almost the Halloween season, we actually went to the cinema.
Whoa.
And we're...
Pricey.
So it was pricey. especially all the popcorn.
Did you complain incessantly about the costs? I hope.
I don't. I'm over that. I've learned that part of a successful date is don't
Not
whine about everything that we're doing.
You stopped
And
doing that in the 80s.
In fact, we went and saw a new film. It's a recent release. It's a sequel, I believe they call it, to an older film called Beetlejuice. It is Beetlejuice 2. And maybe you remember there's a lot of people in it, like Michael Keaton.
Winona Ryder.
Winona Ryder. Do you remember her in Bram Stoker's Dracula? That is one of my... In the Halloween season, I bring up all these movies that Chris has to watch again. And Winona Ryder was fantastic in that. And
Great.
In fact, in my backyard, you remember the scene that Winona's out in the garden and she's wearing this flowing gown, and suddenly there's the beast approaches, and I have created, like in my own backyard, sort of a Dracula's love garden area,
an homage,
a cement bench, and that you might find at a cemetery, and some urns and things sprinkled about, and we went and saw the film, and I do want to say something good about it. And right towards the end of the film, as I was emerging from my mouth-breathing geriatric coma, rising like Dracula out of his
popcorn oil,
I looked up to the screen, and I do believe on the film I saw an early chrome-bumpered MGB.
Nice. When I saw the movie, I said, Henry would like that MG. He would like that car. That happened in my mind. You know why that would happen? Because I know you. Because I check in with the Heine man from time to time. Did Danny DeVito's dead corpse janitor do anything for you?
He was in it?
It did not do anything for you then. No, it did not. Okay. Well, then Beetlejuice for you is a half a thumbs neutral, I'm guessing.
I would call that there was the MGB.
So that
call that a mixed review.
Mixed review. Great MGB. I love it. Very, very fine. You brought it today, Heine. You brought it.
What I did.
Next up is ear candy. Ear candy. We have reviewed Keith Richards' autobiography, Elton John's. Next up for this week was The Boss, Bruce Springsteen's. If he does not, I don't know how well he's doing in the music biz, as the kids refer to it. But if it doesn't go well, he can write some poetry and songs. So if things go bad and he is destitute, he should start thinking about poetry and writing music, because his book, unlike Elton's and Keith's, was extremely thoughtful, deep, like into mental illness and experiences with folks that were off kilter, and a lot of getting through stress and those kind of serious topics. So hot damn, it was good. Yeah, it wasn't just the usual orgies, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. So for those that have not listened to Bruce Springsteen's, and one kind of cool thing is, whereas like Keith, Johnny Depp did his, Bruce Springsteen does his own audiobook. So it's really cool. You're getting him, like, he does the whimsical hems and haws about grandma, and grandma raised him because dad was a mental case. Oh my gosh. He says in Bruce's songs, typically that the dad gets kind of a he's not too kind to him in the music, but it's probably, I mean, in real life, the guy was a complete, well, he did not have priorities for loving fatherhood experiences like you.
But
so anyway,
somehow those things kind of come out in the art.
Yeah. What I'm hoping for, I'm dreaming of it, is my kids will write their memoirs about what an ass munch I was in my life. I'm really looking forward to that. Because I will love to hear how bad I was. I know I did high school about as good as I did parenting, but oh well.
I hope I get a passing mention in the memoirs.
Yeah. My kids' memoirs, you're in it. They love you. Everybody loves Unky Hein.
There was this janitor around the house. I think it was my father.
He did
a great job on the bathrooms.
I was gonna ask you, knowing, I mean, the very brief instances that I had, like interactions with your dad. He was a real yuckster. The dude loved a good laugh. Was his experience that he was mostly disgusted by your choices, or was he like Mr. Love the Heine choice and how dedicated you were in high school?
Looking back, considering the stuff that I was sort of involved with and potentially involved with, and what I used to show up looking like, he was pretty tolerant.
Good.
I'm sure, I don't know if it kept him up at nights, but or just left him shaking his head.
That was my dad. My dad did a lot of this. So this is
that's we're kind of just towards the tail end of our families, and so I think by then the fathers were just like tired,
beaten down,
and so we could get away with a lot more. And we also would watch the brothers and sisters and see where they had problem areas and avoid those areas and work off it the other ways. So
on the surface, you and I were never arrested. I mean, no police were summoned, and we avoided those little tricky corners.
Yeah, and I think that they, kids today, or, certainly my nephews and things like that, the next generation, had a much harder time. I think the authorities who were trying to prevent the stuff that we were doing stepped it up, and so they were very much more under the scrutiny and eyes of the law and would get in trouble for stuff that maybe we would have skated on.
Yes, there was multitude of items that could have gotten us the record.
But we were such, I didn't do anything.
I was quite boring.
To other stories of other friends that really did some stuff and got away with it.
Yes, but later on went to prison.
Many of them are successful people, individuals. That's one of the most successful ones that I remember, or that I know that is successful today, or was last time I saw him. They were out blowing up mailboxes with pipe bombs and got caught. And
that's a record item.
They met with the authorities, but in the end were not severely punished like they would be today.
Today, oh my goodness, you'd be on the list. You'd be driving everywhere. You would not get on a plane.
Right. So anyway, maybe enough about all that.
No, I find it fascinating. I particularly as I listen to these autobiographies, the weirdest thing is people's youths are the same because
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, the issue with bullies and the issue with, trouble in school and not fitting in, that is unbelievably universal in all of these autobiographies.
I remember, as a kid, then, probably I was in I'll bet, second grade, and there's a little passageway right over here that I used to walk through on the way to school. The school is ripped down, but that little passageway is still there. And first day of school, I am going to school with my brand new Snoopy lunchbox.
Peanuts.
And I was in an airport. God, was I in the Atlanta airport, and they had a big lunchbox display. And I said, there's my Snoopy lunchbox. And it was like the greatest thing I'd ever been given to by my parents.
Fresh, crisp, delightfully printed.
My mom had made the lunch for me.
Aww.
And it had the thermos in it with milk in my
cup,
thermos.
the spin-off cup.
And in this little space, as I'm walking to school, I meet this bully who takes my Snoopy lunchbox, slams it on the ground, busts the thermos, all the glasses in the milk. And it was such a huge introduction that there are these mean people out there looking for you.
Really mean. Yeah. Really mean people out there. Universal.
So from then, I just, I kind of cried for a moment and then just got mean.
Yeah. Then you're just
suddenly
cruel to other
I
kids.
was one of the mean people.
Yeah, you're like,
especially if you were smaller than I was.
Yeah, then you're just like, oh, my turn.
Yeah.
My turn.
Thanks for listening to Checking In with Hein and Johnny. You can follow all things Hein and Johnny by subscribing to Checking In with Hein and Johnny anywhere you listen to podcasts. Checking In with Hein and Johnny is sponsored by Conveyors and Equipment. They supply, design, and service all types of conveyors, belting, and material handling equipment since 1972. With 3 locations to serve you, Salt Lake City, Albuquerque, and El Paso. Find them on the web at conveyequip.com. That's CONVEYEQUIP.com.